Today I wanted a little talk about the time that we actually eat, and maybe when was the last time you actually experienced real hunger. Are you eating by the clock, or are you eating because you're really hungry? That's an important thing to have a little think about as well. So let's start with our breakfast. Breakfast, as you know, the word, even if you break it down, break the fast. Breakfast. So it's really important that we have a good breakfast, and three components that we should have in our breakfast would be our protein, our fat, yes, our fat, and our carbohydrate. So these are three things that are really important, and your porridge will actually give you that. I'm a big believer in my porridge, but I steep it overnight or soak it overnight in my low-fat milk. I'm not a big fan of the pink milk, but if you want to go that one, that's fine. I usually use the middle one, the low-fat milk. I don't drink much milk in my tea or anything else, so I feel I need to get calcium from that with my breakfast. So your porridge with your milk will give you the fat then, because the fat is in your milk as well. Your breakfast kickstarts your metabolism, gets you set up for the day, and makes you feel really good, and you won't have that 3 p.m. slump if you do have that good breakfast first thing in the morning. Now you should try and leave 12 hours between your last meal at night and your breakfast. So if you're having your dinner at 7, you can have your breakfast from 7 on. If you're having your dinner at 8, maybe try and have your breakfast from 8 on, depending on what way your actual schedule works, but try and leave 12 hours between your meal, not your last snack, but just your last main meal and your breakfast first thing in the morning. Then you should leave 5 to 6 hours between your breakfast and your lunch. This is so you get all the fuel that you need from your breakfast. You've used that all off. But in between your breakfast and your lunch, as you know, you would have your mid-morning snack. So that's important as well, to have your nuts, have your yogurt, have your peanut butter, banana, whatever it might be, that's going to actually give you that little lift to carry you on to your lunchtime. Believe it or not, at lunchtime, if you want to have a little treat, this is one of the better times of the day to have your treat, because you're moving around, you're going to move for quite a few hours afterwards, and you will have a good chance of burning that off. So having something, a little treat at lunchtime, actually will have less impact on your weight loss than if you were to have it later on in the evening, maybe before you tip it off to bed in your jammies. So try and have that wee treat at lunchtime. Again, have a nice balanced lunch. You could have your 400 or 600 calories there at your lunchtime. Maybe mirror that to your dinner if you can at all, because again, you're moving around and you're more likely to actually burn that off as the day goes by. Then your mid-afternoon snack, and then you have your dinner again another 4 to 5 hours after you've had your lunch, depending again on the day and the way that it goes for you. Set aside a time in the day where you say, you know what, I'm having nothing more to eat here. I find just lighting a little candle and leaving that on my table in the evening, when I've made up my mind, this is it, I'm not eating anything more after here. As one of my members says to me, nil by mouth. So light the candle, that's a little reminder to say to you, well, I have finished eating now for the day. Dinner then, you can spend up to, you know, the middle of the allowance, 450, 500 or 600 calories on your dinner, depending on the calorie allowance that you're on. But try and not have it too late at night, because if you're eating and going to bed, you have no chance of burning off any of those calories. Well, maybe no chance at all of burning off those calories that you have just consumed. So try and have your dinner as early as possible in the evening as you can, followed by a snack later on. Just give yourself that little bit of time to burn it off. Think of it like this. Would you put a stick on the fire when you're going to bed? I don't think you would, because you want the energy, you want the heat from it when you're actually sitting there. So likewise, why would you fill yourself up and go to bed? And if you do fill yourself up and go to bed, you'll have a restless night, you'll maybe end up with indigestion, you'll feel bloated the next day, you'll feel tired the next day, and tiredness too has an impact on weight loss, because when we're tired, you're that kind of like a hangover feeling, and you're reaching for the wrong foods, and that doesn't help either. So there's no harm to get the balance right, just to tip those scales in your favour by having a little look at when you actually eat.